And the record continues. Isn't that a beautiful song?
Yeah.
And the words just speak, it just speaks. Yeah. Well, now I do pray that the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable into your sight, O God. Amen. Amen. Grace and peace this day to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm going to begin with asking a question that has been in my family for ages. Do you like Spam? Yeah, we're pretty much equally divided, by the way, for those that are spammers and those that are non-spammers. Now, the reason I ask that question is because I've done research on this text from Luke for a long time. And I've read many commentaries, and I always got a kick out of the commentaries that are trying to smooth it over, make it more acceptable, because it seemed very unreasonable that Jesus would destroy pigs in this whole quest over the demons. And the commentators would write things like, oh, but he drove them into salt water, so they became salt pork. I still can't get through some of those without really chuckling. And then the more modern commentators said, oh, well, that was the beginning of Spam, but all the commentators that try to smooth over this beautiful revelation that comes to us from Luke is really missing the mark, because this is a really powerful gospel verse gospel reading that comes to us. There's so much into it. The first thing that we see, the first thing as far as the notes go, it's one of Jesus' miracles. Jesus has 4 types of miracles: nature, resurrection, healing, and exorcism. But it shows that Jesus, the earthly Jesus, the divine Jesus in the incarnation, has power over nature, over Satan, and as the healing powers, and to try to downplay this miracle of Jesus by saying salted pork and Spam really misses the mark. And the one thing that we see here that's unusual, especially for Luke, Jesus now leaves Galilee and goes to the region of the Gerasenes, and they don't know anything about Judaism. They have their own religion. They have their own culture, separate from that of the people of God known as Israel. So Jesus now is venturing, and we see the universal power of God, the universal power of Jesus now going out into the realm of the pagan, if you will. And I use that term pagan, not in the sense of it has been in modern times just taken on a different meaning. But pagan is anyone that stands outside of a religion. So he's going out to pagan territory because they stand outside the religion of the Israelites, the Judaism at the time. And Jesus goes, and he encounters a man possessed by demons. And you have to look at how they react. He reacts with fear. What have you to do with me, Jesus? But I question, because later on, right in the next verse, Luke will say, but, what have you to me, Son of God? Who do you have to do with me? And Luke mentions the demons. Why do you think demons know Jesus as the Son of God before the disciples even at times? Who did Jesus meet at the temptation way back in the beginning of the gospel? Satan. So Satan's demons know the power of God, even before it's revealed in many of the miracles and, of course, the resurrection. But, so they say, what do you got to do with me? What do you got to do with me? And Jesus says, out. And we see here that the man that's possessed is driven by the demons before this happens. He's driven by the demons. And I want to spend a little time with that. Because when we say demons, or when I say demons, what's conjured up in your mind? What do you think about? Satan, right? Yeah. The little pitchforks. Horn Yeah, but look at what demons do. Drive the man, possess the man, so there's no other control over the man. Drives him to a solitary place and hides him in caves. And you know what? I think a more modern interpretation, more fitting for us here, because we all have demons. We all have demons that kind of possess us and drive us away from our community, family even, family. You know, it just breaks apart that relationship. Remember I said over and over again that Satan's main priority and the work of Satan's demons is to break apart relationships. And I know in my own life, I've done things that I'm pretty ashamed of. And how that drove me away from my family. You know what? It even drove me away from myself. Because I try to hide from me who I am. Does that make sense to someone? Yeah, I covered it up. So I didn't even believe about me, you know? So we all have our demons in ways, shapes, and forms, you know? And my biggest fear is that people living in an abused situation will hide because of many various reasons, but that's not a demon. Alcohol addiction, drug addiction, obsession for money. You know, one of the hardest things that my family had to live through was the death of my parents. And not just the death, but the settling of the estate. I mean, to me, that's kind of demonic, you know? So my point is that when we say demons, it's not too foreign to us that this man had demons that drove him away. Now, back in the day of the Bible, the biblical writings, you know, demons perhaps had a different, deeper meaning of the tempter and so forth. But this text still talks to us, and that's what I'm saying. It can't be downplayed by turning it into a spam text or a salted pork text. You know, it shows how Jesus comes into those that are foreign to him and help cast out those demons. Help cast them out. And I know for myself, and I'm sure many of you, I found forgiveness in me, for me, through the church and through the love of God. And it gave me courage to speak out when I saw the demons that would possess others, to speak out. And that takes courage at times. So this text has a lot to it, And as we go down, we see that the demons knew Christ. And they started a bargaining. They started bargaining. Don't throw us back into the abyss. And the abyss has certain theological value tools we'll say for another time. But the abyss, don't throw us in. And this is, it is comical in one sense. They look around and they see this herd of pigs. Now, what is a pig to an Israelite? You know, it's not a pulled pork sandwich by any means, you know? And they say, don't throw us into, let us go into the pig. So, from a Jewish perspective, that would be a pretty smart move, right? But if you were a pig farmer living in the Gerasene area, how do you think you'd accept it? Not too kindly. Well, anyway, the demons go into the pigs, and the pigs jump over, whether they turn into salt pork or spam, God only knows. But they do that. And then you have this healing that comes upon the man. And I try to put myself sometimes into the characters that are revealed in Scripture. First of all, I wondered how the disciples might receive this, how they might look at this, you know. They might be wondering, who is this masked man? You know, I use that terminology, who is this masked man? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, some of the younger people today, they say, who? Lone who? You know, And I said, well, the William Tell Overture, I was over and away. They say, what? So I got to sometimes change my connecting gear. Yeah. But, the disciples, and who do you say Jesus is with this miracle? Who do you say of this man that could come into foreign lands, foreign people, if you will, and offer healing that leads, in my case, forgiveness of self and others? Who? But then I think of the man. How does he feel? And that's where that hymn, for me, speaks so much, because there's nothing I bring to Jesus that could win anything from Jesus except, that the love that comes so unconditionally. And why do we do things as Christians? Well, to the term, Jesus has looked into our eyes, hasn't he? Yeah, and touched us in certain ways that no one could ever explain. We just know God and the tenderness and the love that is God. And when people meet that Jesus, I don't see how they could turn away. I think people have problems when they meet the false God that many people like to use for their own judgment and so forth. And that's not the God we know, is it? Because Jesus has looked into our eyes in many ways. The sacrament, the songs, the hymns, the prayers, and the people that we share it with. And we know, take me, Lord, and I will follow. Well, I think that happened to this man. And he wanted to follow Jesus. He wanted to go with Jesus. He was going to get in a boat. And what did Jesus do? No. Go back. Go back home and tell what God has done for you. But you got to look, kind of keep this in a little bit of perspective. He has to go back now to those pig farmers who lost the pigs over the edge. And maybe he came up with the first idea. Oh, well, really, they're salted pork. Who knows? But you know how hard it is to witness to your own clan? What Jesus has done for you? But that's what's called for. And I'm going to share, next Sunday will be the official end of my pastorate. I'll be with you in many ways over the coming months, hopefully years. But I think I told you before, I do a lot of my theology through movies, televisions, and songs. And once I get a song in my head, I can't leave it. It just doesn't go. So I've learned over the years, I'll just turn it into my sermon. You know the song that really rung in my ears when I was reading this text? How many of you remember Chris Christopherson? No, Chris Christopherson, yeah. Wonderful songwriter, Marvin McGee, Sunday Morning Coming Down, of course, Johnny Cash. Well, he wrote a song, and it's Why Me, Lord? Why Me, Lord? A little bit of history of Chris Christopherson to keep this in perspective. Chris Christopherson was a helicopter pilot during the Vietnam War. And he wrote this song and then dedicated it to the veterans of the Vietnam conflict war. But listen to the words. And I think and this is where I pictured not only the man possessed by the demons, but even us. Because why me, Lord? What have I ever done to deserve even one of the blessings that I've known? Tell me, Lord, what did I ever do that was worth loving you or the kindness you've shown? Lord, help me, Jesus. I've wasted it so. Help me, Jesus. Here's the part that gets me. I know what I am. No one has to point out my faults through judgment. I know who I am and what I am. I know what I am. And now that I know that I've needed you so, help me, Jesus. My soul is in your hand. Tell me, Lord, if you think there's a way I can try to repay all I've taken from you. I can show someone else what I've been through myself. on my way back to you. Try me, Lord, if you think there's a way. I can try to repay all that I've taken from you. Maybe, Lord, I can show someone else what I've been through myself on my way back to you. The poetry is beautiful. And for me, it fits right in, not only to the text, but to the hymn we've sang. You know, Jesus knows who we are and still loves us and calls us and heals us and casts out the demons that possess us. Our chains are broken because of the amazing grace that has come to us in Christ. Now we are to go and tell what God has done for us. Go and tell our love for God and God's love for me and you. Let us pray. Most gracious God, we thank you this day in many ways. We perhaps first thank you for Pastor Zuber not singing that song and reading it. But we thank you for the words that have come to us in so many ways that explain our connection to you, our relationship with you. Give us power, Lord, to accept the things that we cannot change and to change the things we can. Break the chains that keep us separated from your creation and the people you love. Break down our hatreds, our desire for judgment, our bigotry, our prejudices, all that point to the negativity of humanity. Help us, Lord, to see your love and to witness it in all that we encounter. We pray this day, Lord, on our way back to you. Amen. Amen.
Thank you.